So now that we're done with the UEFA Champions League, the UEFA Cup, the Conference League, attention will be on the league. And so it's all about the teams that want to push till the end. Over the weekend, just last weekend to be precise, Southampton got relegated. This weekend, someone does whisper to me that Lobby Stars too might be going down in the MPFL. Or we join Southampton, or we join Lobby Stars. And the other teams who are jostling to retain their Premier League status or their league status. For some, it's not about looking at that end. Their end is to see how they finish top of the table. For Liverpool Football Club, it's a joy. The news came finally that Mo Salah will be staying for another 2 years. So it's a great sign. Everyone is moving on. And what a time for that to happen. They've got a game coming up this weekend. It's been a couple of days since the Egyptians scored a goal. So this weekend, I will be hoping, the fans also will be hoping that with this new deal signed, it will be scoring the goals for Liverpool Football Club as they look to win the English Premier League. All right, so for the other teams, we'll discuss about them. We'll also head straight to Monte Carlo and catch up with a few of the quarterfinal games. But also, I'll give us hopers, in case you forgot, they lost their last game, but they came back bouncing, and they're on their way to the final. That will be in Pretoria, South Africa. I am Peter Omo. I've got SAMIES with me on the show for the next 27 minutes. We'll be talking all things sport. We chat, we'll talk. And of course, their point also, we also get to argue. SAMIES, it's a pleasure having you. I know you were here yesterday when we discussed about Onana. The game ended 2-2 yesterday, and they say the 2 goals, they did not say I also watch. So let me say they say the 2 goals considered by United were all his fault. And all this boils down to what Nemanja Matic said before the game yesterday. And SAMIES was saying to me, you know what, if you were also watching the game between Fiorentina, where David De Gea was in goal for Fiorentina, don't forget at the point in time was United for over 10 years. And it was sent packing from Old Trafford, no testimonial, no proper goodbye, and now they're comparing David De Gea to Angel Nana. SAMIES, I know you've got a lot to talk about that. We'll also tell you, as we build up to the game for 4 p.m. in the MPFL in Yenegua, Bayelsa United at home against Shooting Stars of Ibadan. Shooting Stars has not been the best of week for them. Don't forget, they couldn't get a win against Korodu United. They were also fined some millions to pay. SAMIES, it's a pleasure having you on the show with me this Friday afternoon.
Well, definitely, it's the countdown to everything we expect over the course of the weekend. That's across various sports. So just like you've mentioned, we have another Formula One race set to go on this weekend. And then it's all about the continuation. It's the tail end of the season, football activities across Europe top 5 leagues and also a few domestic leagues here in Nigeria, especially the Nigeria that's our professional football league. And then we expect how things would go. But then, you know, it's just a Scoreboard Reloaded, and we review everything, the headlines in which we made mention of this morning. And it's all about, maybe for me, it's just about Angel Nana and that's David De Gea, the big comparison between these 2 shot stoppers. And then maybe I would question the hierarchy of Manchester United back in the years, let's say 2 years ago. Why or how did Erik ten Hag really settle for that's Andre Onana ahead of David De Gea, not extending the contracts of David De Gea? And I remember that this man was without a club for a whole football season. And then he got signed on a free contract with Fiorentina. And of course, I think Fiorentina football fans definitely are going to be so excited with the level of performance David De Gea has proven or has given to them.
And he's on the verge of extending his deal in Florence.
Well, definitely, he's doing so well. He has proved to be low. He has just about a matter of time if he's going to get back within the national team. Talking about
that would be tough.
I know it's going to be tough, but you know, these are the things that maybe him coming back, he won't want maybe just coming back and like say, okay, I end my best back within the national team. I've played so well. I've delivered. But I know that it's going to be hard to displace Unai Simon of that's Atletico de Bilbao, and maybe David Raya also. But then talk about the third choice, and maybe it's something David De Gea could settle for. But it's just about what we can see from all of that. But 2-2 it ended between both sides yesterday, and the howler from David De Gea, truly, from that's Onana, I beg your pardon, is a one that you really need to question if this guy is really the one to lead Manchester United to much more greater laurels. I'm not saying they've not done well. They won the Carabao Cup and also the EFL Cup over the last 2 seasons, and the FA Cup over the last 2 seasons. But this season, it gets much more bigger and of course, the Manchester United fans would want better. And with the manager of Manchester United, they're talking about
Ruben
Ruben Amorim, also says that he has a confidence in Onana's errors. Well, as much as you want to massage the ego of your player, you shouldn't. You should actually call out a few of his slacks.
Okay. So can we
This
take
is something.
can we take a listen
This
to
is
him?
something that Onana, he has been doing since he got into Manchester United.
I have my own thought also. But first, let's take a listen to the Portuguese head coach of Manchester United, Ruben Amorim.
If you look at the season, I make more mistakes than them during these last games and during these last months. That can happen with any player. We will try to help the. There's nothing I can say to Andre in this moment that would help him. So the most important thing is to be natural, and then when the time comes, I will choose the best 11 to play. But I'm really confident in Andre.
So he says when the time comes, he's going to pick the best 11. So when will that time come? That's one. On the other hand, he said he himself, as the head coach of Manchester United, he's also made mistakes in the past. All right. So I thought all of this is just be saying here. United are planning to probably get another goalkeeper in the summer. You can't continue with Onana. You can't just. And if they do in the summer and they keep him for the coming season, in a few months from now, then I know something is really wrong with the team. You can't just have the players trying their best. I know the players also have their own faults, and then you being the last man standing, you commit errors. Second goal last night, it's just 60 seconds. No, the first one, maybe the first one you can say I've seen goalkeepers who are one of the best in the world concede such. There's a way the ball floats into the box and the player is trying to connect it.
That's
maybe like a
not
decoy.
Well,
No, maybe he cannot.
Well.
So that I'm saying I caught him some slack in that one. But for the second goal,
9 minutes.
just 60 seconds,
your
88, 99 minutes.
Your team scored the winner.
Yeah.
Supposed to winner at the death of the game. And then
You know,
allowed for an equalizer.
You were saying something was it yesterday when Matic came up with that statement? You said maybe a few folks who are the Serbian friend still in the United dressing room are maybe telling him some of these things. And imagine you playing out the game yesterday and you got into the dressing room, how some of the colleagues will look at the Cameroonian talking about Onana. So for me, I think for United, they know deep down, even Amorim know deep down that this is not the best we can get. We'll probably go see. A player signed for about 50 million euros from Inter Milan after they allowed David De Gea to walk out of the club without getting the dime. He should be doing better.
I think playing in the Italian Serie A covered a lot of angles to the weakness of Onana's game. We know how defensive a few of the Italian
starting
sides.
from Ajax before you get to Inter Milan. At Ajax it was also
you
so
talk to me
good.
about Ajax? You talk to me about Ajax?
Yeah.
Really? That Tottenham comeback in the semi-finals of the UEFA
Do
Champions
you
League.
put the blame on him, a player that helped them beat Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu?
He wasn't outstanding in those performances.
But he was in the team. He was in the team that led them to the last four.
You talk about the likes of Matthias De Ligt, you talk about the likes of Donny van de Beek, Dusan Tadic, and these guys were the ones who defeated Real Madrid.
He was in goal.
Onana.
Come on, he
If
was in goal.
He wasn't outstanding.
He's the last man standing.
Last man standing.
Any mistake,
Peter.
boy. Any mistake, that ball is in the net, too. So you
Okay.
can't take anything away
How
from
far
Onana.
down did they go?
It was those performances that got him into Inter Milan. And Inter Milan then had him, and then he
They
walked
won
off
the
Inter
title.
Milan, and then he did not. We're talking about him with Manchester United now.
That's what I'm saying. That's maybe going to the Italian Serie A covered a lot of shades to the weakness
What?
of Onana.
They
like I
were
said,
played in the Champions League final. It was in goal. Come on.
Peter, he was in goal.
He is not this bad at Inter and Ajax. For me, that's my point. It's not this bad.
As much as we know Manchester United, they have their worries, they have maybe lots of institutional troubles and all that. This is a man who was also signed like, okay, we want to start something new, want to start something different.
The only
But
thing
he is not leading them even forward.
SAMIES, the only thing here I can say is that he doesn't. United didn't get. There's this thing they say that when you raise the bar, David De Gea raised the bar at Manchester United. He's got his own flaws too, but we can count. In fact, lost count of how many times the Spaniard came to the rescue of United in so many seasons.
So many seasons.
But when you have a player of such magnitude, such status, and then you're allowing work out of the team. You must get someone in that
they didn't
is
even
better.
get another backup. Banyida,
The Turkish goalkeeper. And you must get someone that is better, that will make you forget about the heroics of the Spaniards.
He's not even being trusted by any of the managers.
He was trusted against Arsenal in the FA Cup.
That was because Onana, he trusted him, and
they won.
How much more has he used him? How much more has he used him since then?
Anyways, we just wait to see. The return leg comes up next week, Thursday, Old Trafford. The game ended 2-2 last night. The other result also, Spurs and Frankfurt in London, it ended 1-1, and so they have to go to Frankfurt, one of those good cities around Germany, and see if they can get the win away from home. But talking about the other games that also went down, in Glasgow, Rangers were down to 10 men. It ended goalless between Glasgow Rangers and Athletic Club Bilbao, because for Athletic Club Bilbao, they will be hosting this year's UEFA Cup final, so they want to find a way to play in the final. And of course, the early kickoff in Norway. This is what came to me like a huge surprise, Bodo Glimt. And I've been reading up on Bodo Glimt. Maybe not today. I'll probably share this with us when we come next week, as we take a look at the second leg. Lazio went to that part of Norway and they lost by 2-0. So you might just be seeing one underdog in this year's UEFA Cup semi-final. The other games that went down in the Conference League, Chelsea earlier in the day, early kickoff, they went to Legia in Poland. They won by 3-0. Good performance by Chelsea. Manager has been speaking earlier today ahead of the game against Ipswich Rapid, Vienna of Austria, won away from home by 1-0. Fiorentina also away from home, 2-0 in Seville. Real Betis, they won that game by 2-0. So looks like the teams who pull these strings away from home in the third tier of European club football might just be in the last four of this year's UEFA Conference League. Chelsea, Fiorentina, and Real Betis. These are heavy names when it comes to European club football. SAMIES, let's come back home. Shooting Stars, I've got a date in the next 16 minutes against Bayelsa United. Remember when these two guys met last season, Shooting Stars lost by 2-0. And maybe one of those results that really cost them a place on playing on the continent. This time, away from home again, is Bayelsa. They head to in the next 15 minutes. SAMIES.
Well, for Shooting Stars, I wouldn't say much. I just really hope that they can wrap their thoughts and their mind off everything that has happened on the field of play and also off the field of play over the last 7-8 days, and that they can go straight to Yenogwa to get a victory against the Bayelsa United, because for Shooting Stars, anything short of a victory for them today is definitely going to mar everything they've done this season, especially that 7 games without a defeat and without conceding goals is going to mar all of it. Because yesterday, remember that Ikorodu City, they moved 2 places to 4th position.
They pummeled.
They defeated.
That's not defeat. That is pummeling.
6-0.
A team that left Ibadan, and I thought that
you look at that.
We'll come to that.
You look at that and you say that this side, did they just get promotion into the top flight of Nigerian football? It
reminds me of what's that club name? Wicked Tigers of Bauchi a couple of years ago, how they came flying in the MPFA. We'll pay some bills, but when we come back, we'll talk about what to look forward to this weekend. We're counting down slowly, surely to the end of European club season, and of course, take a look at what happened earlier today in Monte Carlo, Monaco, talking about the ATP 1000. We'll be back. It's 94.9 32 FM.
Feel better about your life.
32 FM, 94.9, the antidote to depression.
Tí wọ́n bá bi ọ́ léèrè pé kí o dá orúkọ eré ìdíje géèmù mánigbàgbé tó dángájíá, bẹ̀tánù ni ìdáhùn rẹ̀ lọ́jọ́kọ́jọ́. Ó yá tààrà ṣàṣà kí ìwọ náà bá wọn jẹ àǹfààní nínú géèmù alárinrin tó fanimọ́ra ní ìpele pẹ̀lú ẹgbẹ̀rún lọ́nà igba 200,000 owó ìkíni káàbọ̀ àti àwọn ẹ̀bùn mìíràn bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. bẹ̀tánù ayò ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ báyìí. Forí pípẹ́ tayò yìí o. Ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ látòrí ọmọ ọdún 18 lọ sókè. Alájọṣepọ̀ ẹgbẹ́ Aston Villa ni wá.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
You're welcome back as we begin to hit home stretch. Let's talk about Now let's start with Monte Carlo quarterfinal games going on. 3 games done with 1 going on as we speak. The Italian Lorenzo Muselli is on court against the Greek Stefano Tsitsipas, and that game is in the second set where the Greek lead. So first set now, he lead in the opening 2 games, 2 games to love, and at the moment he's serving at 40-15. But come done is the likes of Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, who won his game against Alex Poprin 6-3, 6-2. Arthur Fields got the first set but lost second and third to Carlos Alcaraz 4-6, 7-5, 6-3, while Alex de Munier of Australia won his game against Grigor Dimitrov in 2 straight sets, 6-love, 6-love. That's done and dusted. SAMIES looks like Alcaraz is back on clay now, looking like he'll be playing in the final on Sunday, but he's got the semi-final games coming up on Saturday, and that will see him play against another Spaniard in Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, and that's going to be for 12, and the other semi-final game we'll wait to see. Maybe it will be Stefano Tsitsipas up against Alex de Munier. Time will tell. Simon, let's catch up with what to expect this weekend. I know there's a big game in Germany and a big game across Italy also. But let's start with the one in Germany. It's going to be Bayern Munich against Borussia Dortmund. Two teams who lost their game earlier in the week in the UEFA Champions League.
Talking about these encounters, we know that this is the biggest game in German football. Bayern Munich against Borussia Dortmund. Ever since the rivalry between these sides, and
the Classica.
Yeah, it shows that Bayern Munich in recent years they've been the dominant figure, the dominant side in this fixture. Not even when the likes of both Haaland there, Jude Bellingham, Marco Reus. But then going into this game, I look at their performance in the UEFA Champions League and I say, okay, who faced a much more difficult opposition? Which side actually gave a performance so well? Maybe I would give Bayern Munich a nod in this, and we know that it's all about the Bundesliga title as well. 6 points. A lot can happen in the last 5-6 games set to go down there in the German Bundesliga. But then for Borussia Dortmund, they gave in a bad performance against Barcelona, and Emre Can, the captain of the side, lashed out to his teammates, saying that performance was unacceptable from the old squad. Even Niko Kovac, the head coach of Borussia Dortmund at this point, probably...
Is there a comeback in that one? There's nothing can say.
No, I'm just saying...
Just move on. This one is key now.
Yes, this one is key. We know that for Borussia Dortmund, maybe they still have, maybe the higher ranks of the Bundesliga to actually fight for. Not like they can make the top 4 or to play in the UEFA Champions League for next season.
You mean Dortmund?
Yes, because it is quite much more difficult for them. They are 8 on the log with that's 41 points.
And they have 6 more games to go.
They have 6 more games to go, yes. So you look at how difficult it is compared to Bayern Munich, who are top of the standing with 68 points, 6 points ahead of a second place, the Bayer Leverkusen. Anything other than a slip from them, and they are not, or they would actually have their jaws in their mouth to say, now we're going to let go of this Bundesliga title, and it's just going to be painful if Bayern Munich doesn't win the Bundesliga title. For me, just because of Harry Kane.
I think they will.
You think they will?
Yeah, they will.
This is football. We know that.
I know this talk
but
of
for
that cliche.
For Bayern Munich, seriously, see, we say that this team, they are good, yes. But then, one other factor that certain teams, they can
6 points with Bayer Leverkusen?
It's about the manager.
No. Is it 6 points? Just to confirm?
Yes, 6 points.
And 6 more games to go?
6 more games to go.
I think they're going to pull it through.
You think they are going to pull it through?
I think they're going to do
let's see how it goes. I will come in the month of May to see. But for me, it's all about the manager. Is this manager much more commanding? Two cuts feels like a 4-vessel company.
Hey,
is it commanding enough?
The guys in Bayern knew before they got him the job from Burnley. Okay.
You win the Bundesliga.
All right. So let's jump over and catch up with some other things that's going to happen this weekend. We'll talk about Bayern against Dortmund. And on Saturday, somewhere in France, Monaco will play against Olympique Marseille. Don't tell me that is small. If you understand French football a lot, you know that this two is always a big one. Knowing that PSG is done with the league, it's just a place for the UEFA Champions League for next season. So in the beautiful city of Monaco, where Monte Carlo tennis is going on, there will be a big game from 4 p.m. on Saturday, and that will see Monaco play against Olympique Marseille, led by Roberto De Zerbi, the former head coach of Brighton and Hove Albion. All right, so let's still take a look at more games. SAMIES, Liverpool play West Ham. I don't know how big that is, but in terms of me mentioning it, is because Mo Salah just signed a new deal, 2 years. Sammy, you thought, or let me say a few folks thought that Mo Salah might walk out of Anfield without Liverpool getting a dime, but now he's staying for another 2 years. Excited about that?
Staying that at the Anfield, I think this is definitely a reward for what Mohamed Salah has done this season. And remember that his early performances this season is what Liverpool definitely are thriving on and seeing themselves as an eventual champion for the English Premier League, that 28th Premier League title, by the way. So I think that's a reward for the hard work he has done this season. And it was just going to be so sad that if Mohamed Salah actually walked out of Liverpool this season
without them
picking up a dime with the performance he has given. Yes, so this is a player who has everything.
That for me would have been a travesty.
Because you look at there are three maybe key players over the years.
It looked like one is going to go without them getting there. So you can't imagine a Van Dijk and Mo Salah.
Van Dijk and
no, I think for Mo Van Dijk is also almost close. Maybe by the time we come next week, by his grace, that also for the Dutchman will be over the line. But I can't imagine Liverpool does go see three key players who they should be making over 200 million from, work out of Anfield without a dime.
That was one of those things that we said earlier, that is he really going to do this? Is he going to leave? Is he going to leave at the club side? Because this man, well, he joined in the year 2017. I forgot to mention that.
So he's going to spend 10 years with the 2 years.
He's going to spend 10 years because that's
if he's extending.
That's
so if he doesn't leave before 2027,
he could still leave this summer, If teams
no. I think
Liverpool, maybe they are just trying.
I think one season, and then if a good deal comes, they might allow him go.
Well, we just are waiting to see how this.
But that's the good news. That's the good news.
It's actually good news.
Yeah, smiling.
And I hope that they can get some of their key players. Maybe like the likes of Van Dijk has signed a contract extension.
But that of Van Dijk, one of the things that I heard that is keeping that is
he's the leader in that team.
It's not. I understand him being the leader. I'm just talking about one of the issues why he's not getting that done on time is the age. Van Dijk will be 34 in the summer. And you begin to look at how many years.
It's really declining, though.
Yeah, so how you probably say maybe 1 year is what they're looking at and say an option for another year. Newcastle will play against Manchester United on Sunday. That is also one game that you don't want to push aside, SAMIES. Newcastle against Manchester United.
Well, definitely for Newcastle, it's all about their race to actually qualify for the UEFA Champions League. You look at the standing and with what Arsenal did during the course of the week, ensuring that 5 teams who were playing in the group stage at the league phase of the UEFA Champions League this season. I think it just tells about how much more of that an opportunity it is for sides to fight for the that's a top finish. Aside from the title in the English Premier League, for Newcastle they are 5th on the log. They still have a game in and they have 53 points alongside Chelsea, and then a victory for them against Manchester United, whom of course they've been in the middle rank of the table for the majority of the season.
United is fine where they are.
They are fine where they are alongside Tottenham Hotspur.
They're cool. Both of them are cool.
Seriously, Peter. Seriously, we look at Manchester United, and I say that jumping the gun from Erik ten Hag to Ruben Amorim has done them no good.
I can't agree with you because
it has done them no good. How many games has he won? And I think staying, if they had stuck with, if they had stick with
the Dutchman,
that Ruud van Nistelrooy, maybe things would be this bad.
Anyway,
for them,
like I said, it's hypothetical. I don't want to get into the argument.
We talk about managerial bounce. I've not seen any bounce from Manchester.
Somebody will knock your head and tell you what is the United doing with Leicester.
What is Ruud? Are you going to compare? See, Ruud van Nistelrooy in Netherlands with PSV Eindhoven.
Yeah,
he won title. He finished 2nd place.
So I don't want us to drag this because there's one more question I need to ask you. We know that Liverpool, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest. I will say this with my chest. I hit my chest now. We'll get to qualify for the FA Champions League. SAMIES, we're talking about 2 more.
Are you sure for Nottingham Forest?
You can put that salary of yours in the month of May on this table. I put my own on the table, and we'll come back and see who's going to pick the 2. So I'm saying Liverpool, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest get the Champions League place. Now my question will now be how they jostle for 4th and 5th. Aston Villa will be saying, you know what, with that performance against PSG, and boys, we need to start looking at how we can get to a place in the Champions League. So Newcastle, Chelsea, Manchester City, Aston Villa, and I've just mentioned how many now. That should be 4. Chelsea, Manchester City, Newcastle, and Aston Villa. 4 teams will be looking for that 2 remaining places. SAMIES.
Well, let me pick it up from Chelsea Football Club now, where I say that for Chelsea, their run of games until the end of the season is nothing easy. are for them.
They play
Because
Liverpool.
They play Liverpool.
I know that is.
I would actually.
They play Liverpool.
I would pick that out once I have my hands on it. But you talked about Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Not quite long. Now for Nottingham Forest, they were playing against Everton, against Tottenham. They'll play against Brentford, Crystal Palace, Leicester City, West Ham, and Chelsea Football Club.
So
maybe
teams that have overcome better teams, they've beaten these ones now.
well, we actually wait to see how that goes. But then we talk about Aston
What's
Villa.
the difference where Forest points and that of Chelsea or Manchester City now?
Well, for Nottingham Forest, they
Oh,
have 57 points.
That's
Chelsea,
4 points.
they have 53 points.
That's 4 points.
Manchester City, they have 52 points.
That's 5.
Aston Villa, they have 51 points.
That's
6
6
points.
Yeah.
Peter.
The way pull it. Let's move on.
6
I've got one more game, and it's big in Italy this weekend. The Eternal City in Rome. Yes, Rome, the Vatican, and let me just say, it's just Rome now. Lazio will be up against AS Roma. Lazio, like I said the other time, they lost the game last night in Norway by 2-0. They play against a Roma side led by Claudio Ranieri, and it's always difficult to beat Roma. SAMIES in 30 seconds. Lazio or Roma, for me, I think Roma will get this one. There is a derby that they won't play at home. I think they will get this one done against Lazio. How was you before we go?
Well, looking into this game, I see Claudio Ranieri actually chasing that UEFA Champions League Finnish spots.
That's a tough
AS
one.
Roma.
Where
It's
they
a
are,
tough one.
it's
a tough one.
there's Bologna right there.
Yeah,
There's Juventus
it's
also. It's a new manager.
It's a tough one, but then I really see Claudio Ranieri is a manager, a much more respected man there in the dressing room, and then he says that his side maybe they can do this. But you look at the point gap also; it's just 3 points between.
They beat Lazio. They jump ahead of Lazio.
They jump ahead of Lazio. And then they
even equal with Juventus Football Club.
If Juventus doesn't get a victory,
all right,
they'll be 1 point to behind Bologna. But it's actually been. This is the third manager Roma they are using this season.
Yeah.
De Rossi, one of the man, and then Claudio Ranieri. And we actually hope that things go well. But Lazio.
I'll tell you the man that you skip his name, Ivan Juric,
yeah.
who left Southampton a couple of days ago. We got to go now. It's 2 minutes to 4, and don't forget that you can still continue to play the Cocoa Box. Just go get the short code, get it done, and 5. Krista will be here, tell you more about the game between Barca United and 3SC for 4 p.m. and of course bring you up to date, and of course get the draws for Cocoa Box for 5 coming up. So you stick right here, 94.9 32 FM. We're out of here. The news coming up. We'll be back on Saturday. The Premier League will be here from 3 to 5. All you need to know from the Premier League, and of course we'll make a return on Monday morning. That will be 7:45 for Scoreboard in 15. I am Peter Omo.